This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. Big red letters, Alex. In the white letters, it's the Ramble, and we're on here till midnight tonight from the East Coast of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, we're privileged to have with us this evening Bobby Slayton. Hello, Robert.
It's been a while. First of all,
Yeah.
You think you're fooling anybody with that background? It looks great.
I know.
But
it's
yes,
terrific. It's terrific. See, I can go, and there you go. See,
really? Are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it looks cool, though.
Yeah.
It's funny because since this whole COVID thing, once it started, I got a million calls, and you can imagine if I was famous, how famous people must, all these podcasts were contacting me. They obviously contacted everybody because everybody was stuck in their home, and I can't tell you. So I do all these podcasts, and I'd see the list of people that had done them. I said, well, if this guy did it, and that guy did it, well, sure, I should do it. What, I have nothing else to do. I'll do the podcast.
Right, exactly.
And not one thing on Facebook, not one thing on Twitter. I don't know if anybody didn't watch it. Anybody doesn't give a shit. Nobody responded. Anyway, the whole point was, and then I realized after a while, I have nothing to plug. I'm not working. What do I don't have a book out.
Why are you doing
it?
Yeah.
See, there was no reason for me to do all these podcasts, but I always loved the fact that almost every one of them, hey, we're contacting comedians because we want to know what you're doing during COVID. Have you read any COVID jokes? Everything was about COVID and Trump, and I was tired of talking about COVID or Trump and even thinking about it. So, and then it was like, well, you can plug something, and then I had nothing to plug. And then they'd always say, look, you'll have a lot of fun. And right there was when I said, no, I don't want to have fun. We play like a little game. We do like a little game. We play it. It's sort of like, it's like a little game show with comedians. We talk topical stuff. And I don't want to play a game. I don't want to be on your show. And is there a chance of me winning a car? Is it like, let's make a deal where I can get a new refrigerator? But there's no point in me doing this. But anyway, the point being that when you called, I can't say no to Alex Bennett.
No, of course not. You can't.
No, because we go back so far.
Because if you say no to Alex Bennett, your career is finished.
Well, maybe I'm trying to think when I said no to you and when it was finished. I want to see if there's a correlation there to when it was finished and when I said no to you. I don't think I ever said no to you, but
never said no.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking through some pictures the other day. Boxes and boxes of photographs when people use cameras, and I came across those shots of us on the sleigh ride in Lake Tahoe when I married my wife. The Donner wedding, how freezing it was.
Yes, I called it the Donner wedding party.
It was an extraordinary weekend because I know we've talked about this before, but
well, you decided that you wanted to get married because it was romantic in a sled out in the middle of a field during really cold weather in Lake Tahoe.
But it was, and I'm not embellishing here. It was more than that. We originally wanted to get married in Paris, because I think my friend Greg Kinn had got married in Paris. And somebody said they got married under the Eiffel Tower. But the red tape that you had to go through at the time, one of you had to be in Paris for 30 days, you had to get this. And I said, you know what? It's not worth the aggravation. And more than the romantic idea of being in Paris and under the Eiffel Tower was the fact that, we didn't have to invite our family and friends. Oh, we'd like to come, but we don't want to go to Paris. Okay,
right,
well,
exactly. Exactly.
I didn't need like China or I didn't need to register at Macy's for any kind of gift. So I figured we'd go there, nobody would show up. So anyway, I was playing in Lake Tahoe at Caesars Tahoe. Mm-hmm. And right next to Caesars was a big open field. Yeah. And while I was up there for the week playing this comedy club, I decided I'll call my wife. She should come up. Oh, she was coming up anyway. We should get married. She was pregnant with my daughter. And I figured, well, we might as well just get married. Just like we said, it's like she said, you want to have an abortion? I go, no, let's have the baby. Let's get married. It wasn't like we gave any of this any thought. Mm-hmm. So it's snowing outside. I look out my window and I see this big field and they give sleigh rides. And I went over and I talked to them. I go, yeah, you can get married on a sleigh ride. We fit like 8 people.
No, it was bigger than that. This was like a huge sleigh. This could fit like about 15, 16 people.
Well, you know what? Let me look at the picture. Maybe you're right. I just saw the picture. There were a lot of people on the sled, getting pulled by 2 horses. So I invited a few of her friends up. I invited you, of course. I invited a few people. My manager at the time invited herself up. A few other people invited themselves. But anyway, I figured I'm doing 3 shows that night, but we'll get married during the day on the sleigh ride. So literally, and I'm not making this up because I went back and I looked at the weather. The day after, we can get married like 3 days after I called everybody. So the following day, it goes from freezing out to like 75 degrees. I look out my window, and this is before anybody knew about, global warming and climate change. This is going on back then. We'll go back 35 years ago. I look at my window, and this field, there's no more snow. It's mud. It has gone from the Don Ready to Valley Forge. You see soldiers with bayonets trudging through the dirt and the mud. Anyway, it was horrible. Everybody comes up, and I don't know how this happened, but the next day, it starts a snowstorm again. It goes from snow to 70 degrees, mud, to one of the coldest storms and freezing, icy. Oh my God! And that's when we went out on that sleigh ride, and it wasn't cold.
You know how bad that was. You know how cold it was. I brought a video camera to videotape your wedding.
Right.
My camera froze. Literally froze. It would not work under like 32 degrees or something in those days. And it froze, and I never had any video of it.
Well, you got to remember that, guys like us, we're like, New Yorker, Chicago people, maybe not, you've lived through some cold winters, so it's not like we didn't experience cold. It's not like we just flew from Bora Bora where we grew up. We knew cold, and this was mind-boggling. They did videotape it. I think I have a video because I think it was Reverend Love. That was his
Reverend Love, yes.
Love, remember that?
Yes.
It was a Love Chapel.
I'm sure not his real name.
I asked him, he said it was, but who knows,
Now, here's something that just hit me, and I didn't think about it. Guess where I got married?
God, which marriage?
This
3rd,
one,
4th, 5th, 6th?
The 8th. Yeah, no, this one. This current one.
Oh. To Marjorie. No, where did you get married?
Lake Tahoe.
You did?
Yes.
How long ago?
Oh, this was about 2010, I think.
You don't remember, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in Tahoe did you get married? One of the hotels?
We got married on the North Shore.
Okay, much nicer.
Yeah.
I think the Love Chapel, the last time I was up there, and it's been 5 years,
yeah,
was still there.
Yeah.
They were still giving sleigh rides.
Yeah.
And, Caesar's Tahoe now is some, corporate, not that it wasn't corporate before, but faceless stone edifice. But it didn't have, I remember one of the jokes I used to do. You would walk through the lobby of Caesar's.
Yeah.
And they'd have those big statues of, whoever the Greek, or the Roman gods were, and, peeing in a pond with lily pads, these naked, uncircumcised phalluses peeing in a pool. And I remember them telling me the first time I opened up for Kenny Loggins, you should really work clean. I go, really? You got a giant statue of Zeus, or whatever the fuck he is, peeing in a pool as soon as you walk in here, and I can't use a 4-letter word, but seeing a big naked guy.
Yeah, you got to work. You got to work clean, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, you got to work clean, right. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Memories, huh?
Memories. Yeah, that was a nice weekend, though. That was a nice weekend. I was glad you called me and you said, I'm getting married this weekend. Can you come up? And I came up, and a whole bunch of other people came up, and we were all there for a very special moment in your life.
Well, that's when you could fly into Tahoe. That's when you could buy a ticket the same day. You didn't have to buy it 3 weeks in advance and fly on a Thursday and stay 7 days, come back on a Wednesday. So everybody just got a ticket for like $29 from LA or San Francisco. That's
Yeah.
When you could fly into Tahoe, you go over that mountain, you thought you were going to die.
Yeah.
But
well, we knew you. We knew you and your temperament and so on. And of course, we were all saying to each other, "Ain't gonna last."
Right.
Right. This marriage ain't gonna last, because you met her. She was walking across the street, wasn't she?
No. Teddy. No, that's how she died.
By the way, let me tell people this. So the Reverend Love is doing the nuptials.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead. I know the story you're going to tell.
He says, Bobby, Teddy. Now, which one's Bobby and which one's Teddy?
Right. I remember that. I remember very well.
Yeah.
I remember them saying the promise to cherish more than anything. And, he wanted if we want to write our wedding vows, and I said, just make it, as non-corny as you can, but just make it quick. And then we were supposed to go on a whole tour of the valley there
The
and the hills,
pasture,
and we
yeah.
were freezing our asses
Yeah.
off. Just let's get married and get.
Yes.
And Caesars was nice enough. They gave me a suite for the night, a big giant suite, and they supplied food and wine, and then we all went out to dinner. I think the whole wedding cost me like $3,000. So wedding, and we all had a great time.
Yeah,
had the
no,
best
it's wonderful.
champagne. Everything was great.
To this day, it is one of the more memorable moments of my life. How's that?
Well, I did 3 shows that night.
But anyway, how
did
did you meet her? I thought you wrote my business manager, Gary, and you said, I just met the woman I'm going to marry. And
I met her.
And I don't think you even knew her.
No. I was playing at the Ice House in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And a bunch of friends, mutual friends, brought her to the show. She was by herself. She was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And when I saw her, I kind of fell in love with her right away. I mean, she was, you remember Teddy. She was, drop dead gorgeous. And really, really smart, very funny, and great designer. But anyway, I asked her out. We went out. And I guess I made a little bit of a scene. She was very, very shy. And she said she wouldn't go out with me again because I was, being an idiot. I had a few glasses of wine, doing whatever.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what I was doing.
You're always an idiot. Go ahead.
Yeah,
anyway,
always.
Yeah.
But I guess to her, she's not used to
Well,
that
she
kind of
didn't
behavior.
realize that it's what you do as your profession, is being an idiot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Jerry Lewis has always said, that was always been a line of Jerry Lewis's. He said something, and I'm paraphrasing, I make a living from acting like an idiot, which, nobody encapsulates that better than Jerry Lewis. But so anyway, she said, I'm not going out with you again, but come over. You can come over for dinner, and I'm going to make you dinner. And I went over to her house a week later, and she had made me this chicken that has to brine in ice and lemon for like 7 days. It was literally fall off the bone. Mm-hmm. Chicken's chicken, but it's the best chicken I ever had.
Yeah.
It took her, we got married, it took her like 8 years to make me that chicken again. I go on the road, she said, what do you want for dinner? And I go, I want that chicken. And it would always take 7 days, and she was busy. She was working, I was working, and she made it.
Yeah.
And it just didn't come out the same. She only brined it for 5 days, and it wasn't as good.
Wow.
I got to see if I can find that recipe so I can make it for my girlfriend now. But anyway, so that was a great story that went nowhere.
Yeah.
But no, I never.
But we all said, hey, Bobby, it's not going to last. It lasted until your wife passed. How many years?
30. I think we were together a couple years before that. It's mind-boggling to me because as well as I do, because you're a tad older than I am. But you think back to, I think about this all the time. She'd been gone 5 years this past March. 5 years she'd been gone. And I've been with my girlfriend now almost 5 years. But you know what it's like. You start thinking about when you were at the Quake, 25 years ago, and you think back, and and it's so cliched, but when your parents told you, and your uncle told you, and your friends told you, it goes by really quickly,
Mm-hmm. It does.
It's like that John Lennon line. Life happens, while you're waiting for life to happen.
It's true. It's true. But the thing is that that you met your new girlfriend because her husband had recently died. So you both had the same experience.
Well, what was really interesting, and I'm tired of telling this story. She doesn't really like. I think she's used to me telling people because it's horrible but beautiful. It's fascinating. My girlfriend, her husband was a major Hollywood producer and manager, and I knew him since I was. He
was a major player.
A major guy, and I knew him from when I was a doorman at the now defunct famous boarding house in San Francisco. I must have been 20, 21 years old. Anyway, I knew the guy for a long time. And he managed a lot of people, but for some reason, and I'm very proud of this, I was his favorite comic. And he handled a lot of comedians, big time guys. And he loved me. He comes see me all the time. But when you always say to people, hey, we'll get together. But you know what? When I'm on the road.
Wait a minute. Did he ever manage? He loved you, but did he ever manage you?
My manager, Sherry Marsh, went with his company for like 6 months to a year. Yeah, he tried to do a few things for me, but he really had his hands full with all these other people, and it never worked out for whatever reason. Yeah. But what was really interesting is that, like I said, I always want to get together with him. We should have lunch sometime. And again, hey, we'll have lunch. But you know what? When I was on the road, almost 3 weeks out of the month, I come home, packing, unpacking. Want to see my kid. I want to take my kid to school. I want to take my kid to Disneyland. I want to have dinner with my wife. And then he's busy and he's working on a picture. So finally, we got together about 4 or 5 months before he passed away. I didn't realize that he lived literally 5 minutes from me. In LA, that's like next door neighbors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, New York, you can take a subway to the Village and be there, in no time. But, in LA, to drive from the Valley where I live to Santa Monica, whatever.
Yeah.
But he literally lived 5 minutes away. And right between our two homes is a beautiful little shopping center with a couple of great little restaurants and great little nightclubs. So we met up there at a sushi bar. And I go, I didn't realize you lived 5 minutes from me. Meanwhile, he died 5 months later. And they had a big service for him. And his widow, who I never met, she didn't like the whole showbiz thing. She never came out to the clubs and wasn't really part of that. She had her own business. So she invited me to the service, and it was really nice. A lot of people showed up, and Billy Crystal got up to spoke, and Rob Reiner. I'm trying to remember John Lovitz and Martin Short and Mike Binder, and 3 or 4 other luminaries. And it was, it was big. And she puts me on at the end. I mean, what do you have to put me on the end for? I got to follow Lovitz and this guy and that guy. You were my husband's favorite comic. So I got to close the show now. And, anyway, she invited me back to the house. The Jews, you sit there, you have a little meal. And then my wife dies, after getting hit by a car in Mexico, literally 3 months later. And I called her up and I said, we're having a little party celebration of her life at my house. And she couldn't make it. I was on the road. She was on the road. Same kind of, we're both busy on the road.
Yeah, right.
And we finally go in August. This is 4 or 5 months after my wife died. I take her to Rayo's restaurant, the famous Rayo's in New York. They had an outpost here. But here's a funny story. She had said to me when she met her husband, she didn't realize he was a big macher, big producer.
Right.
And their first date, they went to the Palm. And they have all the caricatures on the wall of all the celebrities and the regulars. The caricatures.
Right.
So like the Hirschfeld looking, whoever does the artwork.
Yeah.
So they're sitting underneath his caricature. And she goes, who is this guy that we're going to a restaurant? We're sitting underneath his picture, and she found it kind of funny. People coming up and kissing his ring like he was a godfather. So I take her to Rayo's and I didn't tell her. I make sure that they put me in a booth in the back underneath my picture. And I said, that was really weird about your late husband, that he had to sit under his picture. But a lot of guys in showbiz were like that. Because I can't go to a restaurant unless I'm sitting under my picture. And she didn't know. So she looked up and there was my picture sitting above us. She didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny.
But it's interesting that you met each other and connected because you did have something in common, Well,
a lot of people go, a lot of people do the rebound thing. You find somebody right away. It's like when your dog dies, you got to go out and get another dog to try to replace the dog. It's similar. I'm not comparing wives to dogs.
But this is not Bobby. A rebound is something you do and then you go on to the next one. This wasn't a rebound because this thing's has lasted for 5 years now. Well,
what's funny is after our first date, I went back. My brother was sleeping on my couch.
Yeah.
And I said, I just met the woman. I think I fell in love. He goes, your wife's been gone 5 months. And I would call my girlfriend Dominique, and I would say to her, I'm in love with you. She thought I was insane. But I took her out 4 or 5 more times, and now it's... But here's the thing. She still lives in that house 5 minutes from me. She just left right before you and I did this, did our little interview thing. So I like every weekend, I either spend at her house or she spends at my house.
But you know something? I know people who have done that. And their relationships have lasted much longer than if they were living under the same roof.
Well, I love my house. My wife, you've never been to my home, but my wife did a great job with it. And slowly, I haven't man-caved it, There's but there's a few more monsters and a few less flower pictures. There's a few more, skulls on top of my sock drawer where there was maybe whatever she had, know. And so slowly, the cleaning people now have a beautiful collection of plates and vases. And my daughter took what she could. Goodwill, I've kept them alive for the last 5 years. My wife collected a lot of girly stuff, nice stuff. But so anyway, I have my house. She has her house. We go back and forth. Monday and Tuesday, we split so I can have, the food I want, my spaghetti meatballs, my cheeseburgers, things she doesn't like. And so it's a great relationship. The way we
obviously,
have it just worked out.
And I met her. She's a lovely, lovely woman. And, if you ever lose her, it's your fault. Anyway, I want to ask you something. when we first set this up, you said to me, well, I don't normally do these interviews, but for you, Alex, and of course then I'm appreciative, and then I'm owe it to you for the rest of my life, And then you said, I'm retired. I'm not a comedian. I'm not in the business anymore. Are you really not in the business anymore?
Well, it's sort of like, you can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, well, look, Quentin Tarantino calls, or, Scorsese calls, anybody calls. I would.
You're happy.
Woody Allen calls me again. Yeah, of course I'm going to do a movie. Okay, first of all, since COVID, everybody was kind of semi-retired.
Right.
Everybody was forced to retirement. So what happened was, look, I was getting sick of stand-up comedy. I did it as long or longer than anybody. There's guys in this business that have done stand-up for 40, 50 years. Carlin was one of them. Seinfeld's one of them. Bill Maher's one of them. Rickles, and they kept doing it. And they didn't. I'm sure none of them needed to do it or needs to do it. But you watch Bill Maher's show, and every weekend or every few days, every time he's off, he's still back on the road. Before COVID, he'd always say at the end of the show, "Next week I'll be here." He'd go all over the country. And Seinfeld, they love it. And maybe if I was making that kind of money and had those kind of fans, I would love it too. But here's the thing: 40 plus years, maybe 45. That'd be the plus. 40 some years of playing, some yucks in Columbus, Ohio, or whatever, and getting up in the morning and flying in a day early to do morning radio, where I've got to be driven by some waitress who wants to be a doctor and sitting in traffic to do some hip hop station where none of those people are going to come see my show anyway, and doing the top 40 station with the soccer moms, and then doing 2 shows that night, having a horrible opening comic who's working really blue. And look, there's some great comedy clubs, and I made a great living. It was fun for a while, but it's a young man's game. Buddy Hackett, Don Rickles, all those, those guys.
By the time they reached that age, they were working like the big rooms in Vegas, which is different than working some stupid comedy club in Des Moines.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, there's a whole generation of new comics now, and social media comics. It's like a lot of people. You can't get a book deal. People have said unless you have, a lot of publishers will look. Do you have 500,000, followers on Twitter? Are you big on social media? Do you have a TikTok account? I don't like any of that stuff. It doesn't, the Twitter thing. I even stopped doing that.
Also, Bobby, I got to ask you. This is a very important question.
Yeah.
Your act, how would it play today in the Me Too era?
Okay, first of all, I don't know because I was getting to that actually.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that now, look, there's a lot of comics. Some are good, some are awful. I try to watch all these Netflix specials and usually can't get through more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really funny comics. I don't want to sound like this old fart. No, the comics today, they all suck. Like Milton Berle used to say that about my generation of comics. They're dirty, they're not funny, we did this. But I watch a lot of stuff that's been rehashed, that's been done. Not that they stole it, but you see all this stuff comics doing. You're smoking pot, your parents come in and go, what is this, Cheech and Chong, 1971? I think they did that. Anyway, so much stuff has been done, but there's a new generation of viewers and millennials and people that are watching comedy on their iPad. Anyway, my generation and our generation, because you're certainly a little bit older than I, we're not going to comedy clubs. You're not going out. If you want to watch comedy, you're probably as sick of it as I am. You can turn on Netflix and see 1 million people on your big screen TV, and people, well, it's not the same as being in a club. Really? Where some asshole next to you is talking, where there's valet parking, where you can't drive because you've been drinking, because there's a bachelorette party, a bunch of drunken cunts, because the drinks suck, because the hamburger's cold, because the food sucks. What do I need to do that for when I can watch it in my home, fall asleep, make some popcorn, watch the rest tomorrow? So anyway, my audience was either dying, going away, and I was getting tired of flying. If I was Bill Maher or Jerry Seinfeld, you're flying on private jets.
Yeah,
but you're flying coach and your flight is canceled. You're the Holiday Inn Express in the middle of nowhere. It was getting old.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you say, well, at least you got all those air miles, but the last thing you want to do when you're not working is get on a goddamn airplane.
I've been on a plane in 2 years, and me and my girlfriend are going to Mexico in the fall, but that'd be fine. It's a 2-hour flight. We're going on vacation. But anyway, the point being that I'm just too tired of doing all these clubs. And now with COVID hopefully going away, all these clubs are opening up again. So there's dozens and dozens of comics who sell more tickets than I do, You know, some of them funny, some of them not, but whatever. Clubs don't care. They sell tickets. So the clubs are backed up with people they need to give gigs to. So when you ask me if I was retired, yeah, I don't want to go back to the clubs.
It's kind of like I'm retired. Okay.
Right.
I don't want to be. I would like to be plying my trade other than on some lousy internet show.
Right. With some lousy washed-up comics like Bobby Slayton.
We could call this the washed-up hour here. Anyway,
that's actually great. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that we are kind of doing what we're doing not because we want to, but because that's the way things are right now. The radio I did doesn't exist anymon.
Okay, well, that's the one thing, too. I know a lot of radio people who've told me the same thing.
Yeah.
And it does relate to comedy. But see, I don't want to do stand-up anymore. I'm sick of it. I haven't written a joke. I mean, every once in a while, I think of a great line that I used to do, or a great line, and I throw them in a little shoebox I have here, that if I ever go back and do a show, here's some stuff I want to try, here's some stuff that I used to do. But like I said, the clubs, my money went down tremendously. It's not even worth doing anymore. And right now, I have enough money to live off for a few years. I don't know what I'm going to do in a few years. And I'm doing some radio commercials. Skechers hired me to do a lot of radio spots for them. So that's paying some bills. Now, I'm sending my daughter back to college at 33. She's going to school. So, I mean, I'd like to be making more money. If somebody calls me and puts me in a movie, I'll do it. I don't want to read for a sitcom. I don't want to be on a sitcom. I actually, one of my biggest fears, I always had a major problem, and I don't know how guys do it, and it could be maybe I have ADD or the drugs I did. Maybe I'm not as bright as I thought I was, but I always have a hard time memorizing a half-hour sitcom. I've done, a dozen
I understand where I'm the same way, although I
can't memorize the lines.
I did learn how to memorize when I was doing some stuff for Channel 7, and I did these pieces, and I had to memorize them. And after a while, I got used to learning that don't put the pressure on you to memorize the line.
Right.
Understand what the line is supposed to be. Okay.
Right. I get that. Yeah. I've gone to a million acting coaches who explain that to me.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me. And when you do a sitcom, look, it's a half-hour show, which means it's only about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
When you think about it, and then you're not in every scene. So it's really only 10 or 15 minutes of stuff to learn. So you're going on a Monday, and by Wednesday, Thursday, they're changing the script, they're updating the script, they're revamping the script, you're shooting Friday in front of a live audience. It always made me crazy. And I guess if you are to show week after week, like Seinfeld or whoever, your brain starts to work that way. Kevin Pollak always amazed me because he's on that Mrs. Maisel, and Kevin had these, some nice big monologues and some nice big scenes. And since the show was, I guess, developed and created by playwrights, they want their lines exactly word for word.
Yeah.
Right. I've been very lucky in some of the movies I've done. I've done like maybe 15, 20 movies, only 1 or 2 minutes in each movie.
What I was going to say is the latest film you did for Woody Allen, which I saw, which is called something's Festival. I can't remember the film name.
Rifkin's Festival.
Rifkin's Festival.
Right.
You only have one line.
Well, yeah. But
did you? And my question is, did you blow it?
No, okay. I blew Woody. That's how I got the part. Then you see, I still got it, Alex. He kept meeting there. No, but you know what it is? But over the years, what's great about doing movies, if you work for a guy, I've always been very, very lucky that I worked for some great directors, and you could ad-lib all your stuff. When I worked for Barry Levinson and Bandits, he let me make up, me, Bruce Willis, and Billy Bob Thornton. We did a few scenes, and we kind of made up everything as we went along. Barry goes, do another scene, because Barry was a stand-up comic. And when I worked with Robert Englund on a show called Nightmare Cafe, it was directed by Wes Craven. That wasn't a live studio audience, so we could go up, and he said, do whatever you want. And when I worked with Amy Heckerling, Fast Times at Ridgemont High director, she's always let me ad-lib. Anyway, and Woody, I worked for 3-4 times, always lets you ad-lib lines. And so I've been very lucky. But that last movie, I told you the other day when I talked to you that he flew me to Spain to do one line in a movie because he likes me. I know people think, well, a lot of people don't want to work for Woody now because of these bullshit allegations, which I don't even want to get into. But
no, they're bullshit. They're bullshit.
No, they're total bullshit. If you watch, I could watch that show on HBO. HBO should be embarrassed that they even showed that. But
when is somebody just going to come out and say Mia Farrow's a fucking nutcase?
Well, everybody has.
Yeah.
They have. A million people have. I don't know the woman, but a million people have, including her son Moses, who was a child psychologist. But anyway, I don't want to get into the whole thing. But I've known Woody for a long time, not that well, but if you read his book, apropos of nothing, it's not only does he address
also he's been very decent to you. He used you in his series, he's used you in a couple of his films. Wonder Wheel was one of them. Latest one is this one. Yeah.
I'll tell you, but this is why one reason that and then I do want to address something you asked me about the political correctness and Me Too movement. But when Woody put me, I knew him for years. And
by the way, I want to say to everybody, this interview is going longer than any interview we do, and I will go to our panel after this is through, but to our panel who might be watching, fuck you, I got this. I got a great interview.
Well, you know what?
Here.
By the way, I get all dressed up. I'm going to garden. I do my gardening after this. I said, I wonder if I should put on a regular shirt for Alex. I said, it's 100 degrees here. I'm going in my backyard to garden. This is fine. You don't get dressed up. Why should I? I didn't know you had people waiting to talk. But so here, this was interesting.
They can wait. This is.
You people can wait. Come on, I'm fascinated.
Yeah, I don't get to talk to Bobby that often.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You could have broken this up into 10 interviews, did like a miniseries.
Yeah, I could. I was thinking of telling you, well, why don't we stop and then we'll start and do another one.
Yeah, instead of watching one long show that nobody's looking at, why don't you do a whole series that nobody will watch?
Yeah, right.
But with all due respect to your imaginary viewers. Anyway, but here was one fear that I had. Woody Allen I knew for years. And not really well, but we would have dinners together. Mm-hmm. And when you talk to comics, having dinner with Woody Allen, it's like, I don't know, Steven Spielberg, the certain people in the business are just giants that you want to talk to. It's like if you're in the music, having dinner with Mick Jagger or somebody that you grew up with and watched. And
I'll tell you, though, I don't know if I would have very many questions to ask Steven Spielberg, but I would never end with the questions I would want to ask Woody Allen.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When I did it with Woody for the first time, it was over at a friend's house.
Yeah.
We don't have to mention who the friend
is,
please.
Let's not.
No, please, let's not go into that. That's a whole nother. No, please. I don't want to talk about that. Just for Woody's sake. But anyway, we're having dinner, and he told me Woody Allen was coming over to his house. You want to come over for dinner? I go, well, who's coming over? He says, Woody and his wife. I go, who else? Just Woody and his wife. So he invites me over, and I'm going to sit there with Woody Allen. I'm certainly not going to talk about his film. Oh, you know what movie I love? But I know that he was a tremendous jazz fan, more Dixieland than anything.
Right.
And I love the blues, and it was a big crossover thing, so I knew we could talk about music.
Yeah.
And I knew he loved sports. I was a big Yankee fan. I knew he was more into basketball than the Knicks, but I knew there was something there. And I knew that he loved Harold Lloyd and Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. And we could talk about that, which we did. And, he'd lean over, to Soon Yi, who's a sweetheart, and he'd go, Harpo was the one that didn't talk. He tried to keep her into the conversation, but it was really Harold Lloyd. He did his own stunts. And she, not that she even cared. Yeah. But anyway, we were talking, and then it turned out he knew my ex-manager very well, because not my ex-manager, my friend who passed away, Larry, who his company managed Woody. Yeah. So we had a lot of mutual friends. And when I started doing stand-up in San Francisco, even though Woody was a New Yorker, of course he worked the Hungry Eye and he worked the Purple Onion. So we all had these mutual friends like Mort Saul, like Tommy Smothers, and David Brenner. And so we could talk comedy. We knew, Enrico Banducci, who ran Enrico's. So we sat there talking for 3 hours. And, I get up to pee like 3 times because I'm drinking wine. And the only other person drinking at the table is Woody. And Woody has like 3 or 4 beers. And after this 3-hour dinner, which went by so quickly, we had so much fun. At the end of dinner, I said to Woody, he's a very quiet, very nice guy. He never did the Woody character until we were leaving. And I said, Woody, and pardon my impression here. I said, Woody, I can't believe at your age or my age, we're sitting there drinking, you had 3-4 beers, you never once got up to pee. He goes, that's one of my great attributes. But if you read his book, he has lines in there. When was the last time you read a book that you actually laugh out loud from reading the written word?
I'm trying to remember. There was one, but I can't remember what it was.
You can read books. You can read Dorothy Parker, S.J. Perlman, and you'll see these quotes of really funny people, or Fanny Brice said this, or Georgia Jessel. But you don't really laugh out loud.
Right,
when you're reading Woody's book, you see it in his voice. I'm telling you, you got to get it.
Let's get back to this whole thing about the Me Too movement and where your act would fit in all of this, because it all of a sudden the kind of things we found funny aren't considered funny anymore. Oh, that's not right to do. That's not right to say. You know,
Right.
You couldn't do any of the wife jokes you used to do. You know.
Okay. Well, here was a problem that I did have, and this goes back before the Me Too movement and before COVID. When my wife died, a good 60 to 70% of my act was about my wife. Not necessarily about her, but about, and a lot of stuff's become cliched now. It's almost because everybody's done these kind of jokes. It would take my wife a long time to get ready or whatever my jokes were. And with her not alive anymore, I couldn't do the joke. Henny Youngman was different. Take My Wife, Please. He did those long after she died, but those were just silly jokes. My stuff was more personal and then, serious, but it was more personal and relevant and real. But so anyway, that part of my act was out. And then, a lot of my act, I was just getting tired of doing. When Trump came in to become president, I actually, and I think I used to do a joke about this, I started feeling sorry, or I felt more, instead of making fun of Mexicans, I was more on their side. And then, on women's side, I mean, I still like to make fun of that whole Me Too movement. But when assholes like Harvey Weinstein came out and Jeffrey Epstein came out, it's hard to make fun of women now because now I see their plight a little more. Now my wife is gone. Now these poor Mexicans, they're all rapists and thieves. Fuck you, Trump. So a lot of my jokes I didn't want to do anymore. You know what I mean?
You did do
the
a
gay
lot.
jokes. When I started doing gay jokes, I was one of the first guys to do them. And the reason I started doing them so much was in San Francisco. When I was a young comic, I remember a club having a gay comedy night. And over in Oakland, there was a black comedy night. And they would make fun of straight people and white people, which is fine. White people do this. I got white people. And then the gays, straight people. But when I made fun of them, because I'm the majority here, I can't make fun of them. Fuck you. Make fun of me. That's fine. Do all the Jew jokes you want, or the white men jokes. But don't tell me I can't make fun of you.
There was no end to the amount of.
You remember this whole? Most of the gay people were fine.
What I always was bothered by, I was always bothered by Chris Rock. Always goes, the funny thing about white people, and I go, well, wait a minute. If I did that about blacks, he would just vilify me.
Yeah, but then he did his famous. I like black people. I hate niggas. So once he did that. That put him back. Chris always made fun of black people too. Yeah, so it's fine. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff to be, and he did it in a way that it wasn't like, okay, comics, the old cliche thing, the difference between cats and dogs. But if you're going to do a cat and dog joke, have the definitive one. Leno was the king of that. People don't realize what a great comic he was. If you're going to make a joke about McDonald's or Chicken McNuggets, or how small the bathroom is on an airplane, which every comic did in open mic night, Leno would have the joke.
Right.
So if you're gonna have a great joke and a smart joke, then it's okay.
So would you have to? In other words, today, if you went back on the road, all of a sudden now there's no more COVID, and clubs are going. It's nostalgia night. Let's bring back Bobby Slayton.
Right.
Would you have an act to do?
First of all, I have to remember it because I've worked in a year and a half.
People don't understand this, by the way. You can forget your act if you're not doing it every night.
Oh no, you a million comics have talked about this, and I've heard if you, and at least me personally, okay, I would work every week, 3 weeks out of the month, and that was usually a Wednesday through Saturday, Thursday through Sunday, 2 to 4 nights a week, and I'd work 2 or 3 weeks in a row, take a week off, and if I took a week off, it would take me one show, one night, to get back into my act, because. And the problem I had, and it was a good problem, one good thing about my act, was I never did anything in the same order. I would try to have a joke to end with, maybe something to open with, and it would always be the same thing. So a lot of comics would follow a certain order, and I would just be bouncing all over the place because I'd start talking to some of the audience, forget where I was, and go on to another topic, maybe try to come back to it, which usually I could, unless it was a second show, and I've already had 3 or 4 vodkas. Then by the end of the evening, I would sometimes, your memory's not quite sharp. Yeah. But anyway, I would still have an act now. It would take me a while to get back into it. The anti-Asian stuff, I would still do the Asian jokes. I would still do the gay jokes. But you know what? All it takes is 2 or 3 idiots in the audience to start giving you shit. And it used to be, look, even drunks and bachelorette parties, you try to ignore them and you can't. There are a few comics. I think my friend Nick DiPaolo, I think he used to have in his contract, no bachelorette parties at my show. And there's been a few well-behaved bachelorette parties, but most of them have been monsters. I think now the generation of millennials who want to change the world, every white yuppie kid with the Black Lives Matter. And, and you find it's a lot of the guys with the man buns who work at Starbucks who are the ones, all of Asian people laugh the Asian jokes and black people laugh. But then there's some uptight liberal douchebag white guy who thinks he's an arbiter of taste, judge for what
I often said, why is it everybody's upset by black jokes or white?
Basically.
Usually I found that, you would kid about blacks and they liked you. You played very well to a black audience.
Well, it depends how you work it. I play Indian casinos and, they've always been very, be careful with the Indian jokes. It's an Indian casino. And I remember, whatever jokes they did. And by the way, it's funny that they call them Indian casinos, but they don't like to be called Indians. They're taking your wampum, white man, but don't call us an Indian. What did you call a Native American casino? Who are these people? I think. But the thing about stand-up comedy, you have to really want to do it. When it becomes a job, and just a job, and it's not fun anymore.
Let me say this because we're kind of running out of time. This audience is going to hate me for not getting to them. But I would rather talk to you for 2 hours.
We
got to begin with. We have to do this again sooner than I've said. I've enjoyed this. You and I just talk. We're just friends. But I do say that when people ask me who is the best comic you've ever worked with, Bobby Slate.
But it's funny. There are better comics now. There are guys that astound me how great they are. Like Chris Rock, like Dave Chappelle,
in your
like
opinion,
Bill Burr.
in your opinion, because you exclude yourself in that group. But the fact is, Bobby, that when people say to me, tell me a funny comic, I say the funniest comic I know and the best technician, is Bobby Slate.
Okay, watch Bill Burr.
Bill Burr's incredible, but you are the best technician.
I'm a technician.
But I'm saying there's a technique to doing comedy.
Yeah, well, I was good. Look, you do something for 40 years, you better be pretty good at it. But there are guys that I watch, like Jerry Seinfeld, who, is mind-boggling to me. But whatever, it's fine. You know what? It's like baseball. There were guys that were better than Mickey Mantle. Not that I'm the Mickey Mantle of comedy. There were plenty of great ball players in baseball. But there's always
the two names,
10, 20, 30, 40 guys who are just as good, if not better.
The two names that come to mind for me are you and Bill Hicks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. But then again, I'm limiting this to people I've actually worked with. Okay? Yeah, Seinfeld's great. Bill Burr's great. I didn't work with them. I worked with you.
I would have. Okay, I'm gonna let you go, but I would have liked to have seen what Bill Hicks would have been doing now. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's really a shame. He was.
It's like saying it's like Jimi Hendrix. What would he be doing now? Hey,
whatever. Listen, thank you for spending so much time with us, and stay where you are because when I'm through doing this, I want to talk to you for a few more seconds. Okay?
Wait. Yeah. Okay.
Just stay online.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop recording.
Stop recording, and then I got to go garden before.
Maybe we can. Yeah, too bad.
Even though it's nighttime, I guess I don't know if I'm supposed to.
It's nighttime. It's nighttime here. It's noon in California.
You knew it. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Bobby Slayton. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Alex.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
I know it took a lot of time. It was a long interview, but we started talking, and before I knew it, 40 minutes had gone by, and then 41 and 42, and I said, I better stop this now. But he's like one of my oldest and dearest friends, and a person who has given of himself to my career as well, and I always appreciate that. I better get to the people here, otherwise they're going to be very mad at me. There are only a handful of them anyway waiting, so it wasn't like I made people wait. Okay, all right. Let me see here. Let me bring these guys on. Somebody's got us on there. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, all righty. Hello there, Alan. Hello there, Charlie. Hello there, Trucker Steve. Hello there, Jeff. Hello there, Schmoody.
Okay.
Nice having you people here tonight. Hope you enjoyed that. You know.
Yeah.
That's Bobby Slayton is a classic comic. I mean, he's just great.
Yeah.
You know, I remember him from the 80s and 90s. I mean, this guy's just great.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, I wouldn't hate you if you took up the whole show with him. Hey, he's great.
Yeah, I would have been fine with it too.
Yeah. Well, I could have done that, but I wanted to save it for another day because I always say I'm going to call him, and I'm kind of, I don't know, for some reason I don't, because I guess there's a certain, I'm not afraid of calling him. It's just that I want to catch him at the right time. And the other day I saw the Woody Allen film, and I saw him in it, and I wrote him a little note. Next thing you know, he doesn't text me back. The phone rings, and there's Bobby. And so I said to him, "You want to do that?" Yeah, sure. He says, "I don't like doing these things at all." He says, "But for you, I'll do it." And he's right. I mean, he was probably getting calls left and right from people going, "Oh, we're going to have a bunch of comics on, and then we're going to talk about this, and we're going to play this game and that game." And this is somebody said, "Bong hits for Jesus." Hold on a second. What? Hold on a second. We may have to get rid of this person immediately. Hello there. Oh, you.
Jesus.
John Larkin.
Why do you do it, John?
Fuck you, John.
Yeah, it's a childish thing to do.
Bong hits for Jesus.
What?
Anyway, so so we did it, and I just so enjoy having him on and talking to him because he's an old friend, and but he was just saying that people would call him and say, "Hey, you want to do my podcast? And we're gonna have a bunch of other comics on, and we'll play games and things like that." And he just, I don't need it.
He doesn't give himself enough credit, Bobby Slayton.
Oh, I think look. It's good that he doesn't give himself enough credit. It's when you start giving yourself too much credit, you're obnoxious, and nobody can stand you. Only bad comics think they're good. Okay, it's the ones who always question how good they are that keep at the top of their game, and he's always been at the top of his game. I think it's a shame that he's kind of getting out of comedy, but I understand why. There's no place for me in radio anymore, and there's no place for him in comedy probably anymore. Just given the prejudice of the time, he's an older comic. They don't hire older comics. Why? Because they want more. The cheap comics are the ones who are new and don't care. Anyway, I love Bobby, and I was glad to have him on it. We'll do it more often, I promise you. But anyway, hello everybody. How are you this evening? Yes, John.
I was saying hi.
Oh, that was your. Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were actually waving at me and saying.
Yeah, no,
Just flipping you off.
My name is in honor of the last Supreme Court decision for First Amendment was based on a kid that had that sign at his school. Bong hits for Jesus, and the next upcoming First Amendment hearing that's going to be this year is for a cheerleader who got kicked off or didn't make her cheerleading team, so she went on Snapchat and flipped off the high school. Mm-hmm. So the high school is suing her, and it's gone all the way to the Supreme Court.
Oh, Jesus! And
the story is. What I'm trying to say is that's what I love about this country. We can make such trivial things make them so important,
Yeah. Well, we
go back to Bobby Slayton.
Yeah.
No, just
what?
He's a lot more interesting, Bobby Slayton.
Yeah.
Than Bong gets for Jesus.
Well, no, but I agree with him. But the thing is that it's a shame we have to waste our time in the Supreme Court with cases like this.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's what I like about it.
I mean, well, then again, those people get paid a lot of money, so they should have to work for their jobs.
Although SCOTUS did a good thing today. They once again kick the Republicans in the teeth, saying we're not going to get rid of Obamacare.
It's what I've maintained all along, and that is that just because somebody tries to pack the court doesn't mean they're necessarily going to go a certain way all the time.
Well, Trump put 3 in there, and 3 of them did not work for him or Obamacare.
Yeah.
No, what did Gorsuch voted to kill it?
Yeah.
There were only 2 votes. It was Gorsuch and Alito.
Yeah. But there were 2 of them. That's it. It was a definite.
2 out of 9.
Huh?
2 out of 9.
Out of 9.
Well, I mean, Gorsuch was a Trump nominee. Alito wasn't. But Gorsuch was.
Yeah. But nevertheless, the other ones, the ones you thought would be, let's kill Obamacare, didn't want to do that. They also voted on something else, which I tended to agree with, and that was that the city of Philadelphia, I think, had prevented the church from getting from being able to run their what do you call it? The what?
Adoption.
Their adoption. Well, it isn't adoption, but it's what do you call it?
Child placement.
Foster care.
Foster care. They said that they couldn't run their foster care system because they excluded gays from being able to get kids in foster care. And the Supreme Court said, no, they couldn't do that. Now, it was a very narrow kind of decision. It doesn't apply broadly, but it applies in that particular case.
You got it wrong. The Supreme Court said they could do that, but only in a certain narrower kind of situation.
Yeah, but basically, I don't think, while I do believe that kids certainly probably could benefit from actually being in a mixed same-sex couple relationship because they're just as loving as anybody else. There is a factor that the church may have something against that, in spite of the fact that most of their priests are gay. But anyway,
they shuffle them around like crazy.
And they're so well known for protecting kids.
Yeah, exactly. Never trust them.
But the point that I'm making is I don't think it was an unjust decision. Okay.
You know what's funny about that, Alex? They won't let the gay people adopt the children, but it's all right for the straight people to give them away, the kids.
Yeah,
it's almost like a farcical joke. Like you can have them,
and it's okay,
but you can't adopt them. It's like really.
It's also okay for the gays in their priesthood to diddle those kids. That's all right, but So I mean, but I think the decision was a correct one given the situation. Okay.
Well, the First Amendment, it's the church's right to, they have their
well, it's religious freedom. It's religious freedom. Yeah.
You know what I would do then if
they gave us Obamacare. They gave us Obamacare today. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's true. We got that. I mean, and I actually was following that when I was grading some comics working at home. And it was like, how can they really overturn that? I mean, they're going to rip apart health. Well, Trump wanted to, Alex. He really, because it had Obama's name on it. He was dying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I bet he's pissed off today.
Yeah.
And his name on because Republicans put it on it.
Huh?
It wasn't called Obamacare. It's called the Affordable Care Act.
I know.
Right.
That's right.
Right. They called it Obamacare to prejudice people against it.
Yeah.
Affordable Care Act. Affordable Care Act sounds too good.
It's almost like we're trying to help somebody get some insurance. God forbid you give somebody some insurance and let them go to the doctor. It's a horrible world, isn't it?
The other thing that happened today, and we talked about briefly got into this last night, is about our president signing a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Juneteenth is the what can we call it? The anniversary, okay, of not the freeing of the slaves, but the word getting to Galveston, Texas, I believe. Charlie, maybe you can.
Wasn't that a song by Presley?
No. What
2 years later.
Yep.
2 years later, he freed the slaves.
The internet was running slow.
Huh? Yeah. What was the exact situation in Galveston, Charlie? somebody brought the message to them and said they were free, and then that was the official beginning of freedom for blacks in America.
Well, at least for
right?
the state of Texas. Basically, that was the last state. So finally, every former slave realized that they were free.
Yeah. Now, I have nothing with Juneteenth being made a federal holiday, but I feel that if we do make it a federal holiday, we should do away with Martin Luther King's birthday. You know, we wiped out 2 presidents with that one, right?
Yep.
It used to be Lincoln's birthday, followed a week later by Washington's birthday, and then all of a sudden we needed to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday, which is fine with me. I'd rather it be Malcolm X, but it's Martin Luther King. Make it Martin Luther King's birthday, and they celebrate that. But then all of a sudden they come out with the Juneteenth. Wait a minute. The blacks have 2 holidays now?
Yep.
Now,
Hey, why don't we have 12?
well, if you want, I don't care if you make, as I said last night, 100 different days of federal holiday, more time off for the rest of us, you know? But, I mean, I think that really something that was a little broader in scope would have been called for. Because now do we say that the Mexicans should have, you know, Latinos should have a holiday? Should we say that the Asians should have a holiday? I think all these people have, in their own way, contributed to the growth of this country, and have also been subject to great prejudice. The Chinese, for instance, they built the railroads in this country.
Yeah.
You know?
Alex, they never take days off. Never.
Who?
The Chinese. I mean, that restaurant, that could be open 24/7.
What do they serve at that restaurant?
Thank God for that. They never
That's the
take
first
off.
time Tony's ever said they Chinese.
Yeah.
Normally you would say chinks.
Yeah. But I mean, am I right, wrong about this, Charlie? Tell me about, you know, why all of a sudden 2 holidays now?
I have no idea. I don't remember anybody crying out to have Juneteenth as a national holiday.
Wait a minute. Now you're of the black persuasion, as we can probably tell, and if you can't tell, well, fine. That shows you have no prejudice at all. Okay.
Mexican.
But correct me if I'm wrong. This seemed I never heard of Juneteenth till about 3 weeks ago. You know,
I never heard of it till I moved to Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have an iPhone, Alex?
What do you mean? Do I have an iPhone? Yes, I
You have an iPhone versus an Android.
Yes.
So iPhone has had the date there for 3 years.
Really?
On the phone, automatically on the calendar.
Hold on a second.
Alex,
It doesn't
you think
show.
Phil
It
Collins
doesn't
is
show
wrong
up
with
on
the
my
calendar?
Apple calendar. It does not show up on my Apple calendar.
I
At
wonder
least
if Phil
it-
runs a sale for Martin Luther King, or if he made like a Martin Luther King sale. That probably does. I can see him putting the window in the window.
Let me see here now. It's Friday is the date, and here it doesn't say anywhere. It doesn't say
Saturday.
Juneteenth.
Well, yeah.
It
Does
doesn't.
it?
No, it
All
doesn't.
my Apple products do.
Officially, it's June 19th, which would be Saturday.
June 19th. Okay, let me go over to the 19th. Well, here it is now, Juneteenth. There it is.
There it is.
Right there.
Gotta get the right date.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. The reason I
They-
said
because of
Friday
this
is it's
weekend
being
stuff.
celebrated on Friday as a
Yeah.
federal holiday because it's on Saturday. So anyway, but you know, I never heard of Juneteenth before this. You know, I never.
thought it was a joke,
You know, and
You were going to make a holiday. Why wouldn't you do it the day of the Emancipation Proclamation?
well, what Marjorie suggested is a holiday for all of us, and what we should do is make Election Day a holiday.
Yeah, that is. They should have. We should have off that day. Even if you don't want to vote, you should have.
And
off.
then everybody, you know, gets the day off, and they use that day to go out and vote. They don't have to take time off of work. They don't have to get their pay docked. You know,
Yeah, you're
whatever.
right. And then there'd be no complaints at the. I couldn't get to the line.
Polls.
Yeah, right. Like, you know, well, Kathleen
Yeah, the
doesn't.
Republicans wouldn't be for
Kathleen doesn't have a job, so. Or do you have a job? I didn't
She's
ask you about that,
self-employed.
Kathleen. Of course.
Yeah.
You still selling stuff on eBay?
Yep.
Oh, okay. What are you selling, the watches still?
No, right now I have a bunch of collectible T-shirts and crap up.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
There'll be no complaints.
You've been doing that since.
July 18th, 98.
I'll tell you
Wow.
when I started. Let me look at my handle.
Wow.
When I did it, I watched it. A friend of mine told me about it. I watched it for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Started selling watches, and within 6 months, 70 grand, paid off my bills, bought the house.
Wow.
And between UPS and eBay, I was pulling in close to $500,000.
What?
And I paid taxes on
Wait a minute.
every
Wait a
bit
minute.
of it.
And he let you go, Kathleen. Now he's trying to mount his eyes and go, maybe I should take it back.
Where do you get the watches?
And I didn't stick around?
And you were the big shot, Alex.
Huh?
You
Yeah,
know,
but I
we
mean,
used to see, man, what-
she was
were you-
making a
did
half
you
a
ever
million a
carry
year.
your
That
TV? Never you
I
said
was
that, or
never
that
I was
somebody
never
else?
making a $500,000 a year.
You were making big bucks.
I was making big bucks, but I didn't make a $500,000 a year.
When I was
Yeah,
working
I'm
at Cleveland, they
close
were
to
paying me
it.
$3 an hour. I thought of what I was getting. I got held up for $3 an hour.
Hey, if I had known that you know that you were making that much money every year, I would have had you pick up a few more dinners. You know?
You are a cheap date.
Why? What is with
No,
you?
you know, I didn't like him paying
what is
for
with
everything.
what is with Bishop and his constant reference to me as cheap?
Well, you do say you don't like
Stereotype.
but you're not a drinker though. Remember you said that alcohol is expensive though, isn't it? When you have a drink out.
Yeah, but I just don't drink. I don't drink because
Yeah, he
it's
doesn't
too
drink.
expensive.
You know. Imagine he brings his own beer to the dinner and he just puts it down.
Wait a minute. Ask the
So
woman.
his drinking interfered with his
Ask
skills
the woman who,
back in
for a
the day.
short time in her life, owned me. Okay.
No,
Ask
one
Kathleen.
time-
Kathleen, am I cheap?
No.
Who, me?
Am I cheap?
No, him.
No.
Okay.
No.
So stop it, Jack.
Yeah, that's Alex. You were saying you used to always take all the comics out. You said, remember they didn't. That was nice.
Yeah.
You were flipping the bill.
Get a company credit card.
No.
No.
No. Never.
Mm.
No.
Mm.
Yes, Jack.
Hey, I just came in here for a second to kind of correct something that was said earlier. Even growing up in San Francisco, I heard about June 19th.
Really?
Yeah. Now, here's what happened historically. Let me make sure I got this thing on here. Here's what happened. Charlie was right. The last state to hear about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was Texas. A U.S. naval frigate sailed into Galveston Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that was in command of the ship was a guy named Granger. I knew one of his descendants back in the 70s. Guy was a dentist. And they read the Emancipation Proclamation, told these black folks you're free, then sailed away. But other parts of the country, other states, even back in the 60s and 70s, were celebrating other days when the Emancipation Proclamation was read in their state. Oklahoma has a different day. Tennessee has a different day. And those are the only two states that I know of.
You know, when did we ever, as a country in general, even hear about Juneteenth? I mean, maybe you did because it came in to the sphere of your life.
Yeah.
But it didn't come into the sphere of my life, and I'm sure that it didn't come into Alan's or even Charlie said he didn't hear of it till he moved to
You never heard about it in
Texas.
Chicago.
Well, different parts of the country, different school systems.
Yeah, but
celebrated
still.
or
Well,
acknowledged it.
okay, let me put it this way. You want Juneteenth, take it, have a good time with it, celebrate it. I don't know what you would do, certain foods maybe, certain traditions, whatever you want to do with it. Give us back Martin Luther King's birthday.
We
Well, I
still
think-
have it, don't we?
Yeah.
Take it away.
No, we don't. We don't. We gave
Take it
up.
away.
We gave up Washington or Lincoln, whichever one you want to
Oh.
say, to make, because they didn't want to give us an extra day. That's really what it was all about, right? Oh, God forbid the businesses should have to give people another day off. right? So they had to give up something. So they took Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday, and it's called President's Day,
Oh, that's right.
which
you're
is a
right.
federal
Third Monday
holiday.
in
I remember
And
at school I used to have 2
and
days
then
off.
they made Martin Luther King's birthday. I think that's fine. You want Martin Luther King to be celebrated? Fine. Much like a Washington, much like a Lincoln, fine. But I don't. I think if you want Juneteenth as a federal holiday, you should have to give up Martin Luther King's birthday, and then maybe we can even take Martin Luther King's birthday and turn it into a Mexican holiday or a Latino holiday or a Chinese
Texas,
holiday.
We
What?
celebrate Cinco de Mayo. And
No,
there's some folks-
no. You go down and you put lime in a fucking drink and you get drunk and you eat a taco and that's Cinco de Mayo. It doesn't have any kind of historical significance.
When half of this country, at one time, including Texas, including Oklahoma, were actually part of the California, were part of the Mexican Empire.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, you said, what's the significance?
No, what's the significance of Cinco de Mayo? What I'd say is you probably should celebrate the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo?
Yeah, you should
But
celebrate
you think
the
Lincoln would
Alamo,
get his own
in which
birthday, he got killed.
the Mexicans
understand why
beat
Mexico was
beat the living crap out of the white guys. That's a good day to.
Remember the Alamo?
Now, what happened there at the Alamo, Travis, Captain Travis, walked out on the parapet and said, "Who said for the roofers?"
Hmm?
Yeah.
Texas joke, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Look, what I'm saying is this. King, certainly significant, but for different reasons.
But I'm saying that, they wanted to do, you know what it is? I think that the reason we just turned Juneteenth into a holiday, into a federal holiday, is because of white guys who were intimidated and they wanted to show how liberal they were and wanted to give blacks yet another holiday. You already have one. Okay.
No, America has one, and if you want to change anything, maybe we should have a Black Heroes Day.
Why Black Anything Day? Give something to the Latinos. Give something to the Chinese.
Let's say People of Color Heroes Day.
No, let's give something to the Chinese as an example.
All right, let's do that.
Who through their sweat built the railroads in this country, and were kind of enslaved in doing that because they were brought over here, and then they were at the behest of their overlords.
Under false pretenses.
Yeah.
There are even some historians that believe, and there's pretty good evidence, that the Chinese actually discovered North America before the Europeans. Didn't know that.
Well, that's not the point. The point I'm making is that I just think that, enough is enough. The blacks got their person celebrated and their holiday. You don't want that one? Give it back. Let us give it to somebody else.
Hey, Charlie, why don't we go for 3/5 of a person's day?
Yeah.
That would satisfy.
What the fuck is that all about? What's the point you're trying to make with that?
I'm not trying to make any point.
I'm being serious here. I think that there are a lot of other people. America has been a country that has never been particularly good to foreign entities. Whether it was the blacks they brought over as slaves, whether it's the Chinese they brought over to build the railroads, whether it was the Mexicans, we've just been terrible. So, let's start making a few holidays for them. And we already have one.
We have a day where we say we're just going to kick all the Europeans' asses for being assholes.
Well, for some reason, I just think it was overkill, and I think it was more a white guy's desire to feel really liberal.
No, I think.
Right.
What you agree with me, Charlie?
What I think.
Wait a minute, hold on a second, Jack. Wait a minute, Charlie.
I think it was white guilt.
Charlie, were you?
Anybody I know?
Jack, I'm talking to Charlie.
All right.
Charlie, did you say you agreed with me?
Yeah, I think you're right. Because like I said, I don't remember anybody. I don't remember hearing anybody raising a stink trying to get but Juneteenth is a holiday.
Yeah, except for some woman down in Texas somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, the first I really heard of is when they were taking the vote in Congress, in the House.
Now, what were you trying to say, Jack?
Well, what I was trying to say is I think, Alex, I think you're right, but it wasn't guilt. It was to try to shut us black folk up.
Well, that's another thing as well.
I think that's way more valid than guilt.
Yeah, you settled. What you did is you settled for a holiday, which of course will be turned into sales.
Yeah,
you know,
it'll
be. It's Juneteenth when we have a avalanche of sales on Juneteenth.
Step right in and buy yourself a watermelon. Take it home, pass it off as a bowling ball as you go.
Have they had? And I don't know. Have they done anything with having Martin Luther King birthday sales?
It's always Martin Luther King.
Because that would be a windfall, because you could have slogans like "It's a mountaintop of savings."
Now
that would be good.
I have never seen that in the 50 years that I have lived in Dallas.
Yeah. I was saying that as a joke, Jack.
Well, I thought you were being serious.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Alan?
Oh, so I think the blacks actually have a third holiday in this country, Black Friday.
No, you don't like the bell, but I got to ring it for my brother there.
That joke was from last night.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did in a lot of stores for the longest time. I don't know if they still do. It had white sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In which they sold linen so that you'd have clothing for your Ku Klux Klan outfit. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that is.
And we should probably start a Scandinavian holiday for you.
Can't leave enough people out.
Viking Day.
Viking Day. Yeah.
Let's all put our horns on.
Thank you. I was about to go that way myself.
Yeah. And you could have sales for that, like at whorehouses.
What about National Jew Day?
if you're horny.
National Jew Day. It's when you go to a sale and pay the sale price. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a major sin, is paying retail.
That's right.
But nobody pays retail anymore. They buy from Amazon.
That's right.
That's the new retail.
You gotta know what you're buying at Amazon, because I think what they do is they follow you. If you come from Walmart, and then their prices are the same price as Walmart, and they claim they don't have a way of finding that out, but if you go right to Amazon, I actually had
more in line with Walmart is like Costco. But Costco, on the other hand, they are cheaper, but you got to buy more of the stuff.
Yeah.
In other words, you got to buy like double the stuff that you would, like double the size or whatever, And that's how Costco is made. In fact, am I right about this, Kathleen? Costco does not make its profit off of basically selling the items. I think they only mark up about 15% or something like that. They make the money off the memberships.
Yep.
And they don't have to advertise, so they save all kinds of money.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You'll never see a Costco commercial.
Well, I mean, you do get emails from them and things like that, but you're right.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Costco commercial.
Yeah,
Nope.
I get the booklet in the mail with the coupons.
The what? Oh,
The,
yeah, the little
booklet.
book. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is BJ's I got right here.
Yeah.
And their employees are very well paid.
Oh,
Yeah.
good health care too.
Yep. Everything.
Oh,
401k,
a
everything.
model company. An absolute model company.
Yep.
Yeah. How many here?
Same bullshit as UPS. I mean, it's, your upper management's, good Lord.
I mean, I would say most people on this panel, if I were to just say it out loud, have all bought at Costco and all buy on Amazon, right?
That's correct for me.
You don't at all?
Not Amazon. No.
Why?
Hate Amazon.
Why?
I mean, they hire people just to turn them over. I never buy anything on Amazon. There's nothing on fucking Amazon I want. So my son, he likes DVDs every now and then. And I said, not Amazon, eBay. I sell on eBay. I'm going to support the folks that are selling on eBay. We are not going to support Amazon. We're not.
The only major item I ever bought on eBay broke.
Same here.
Yeah.
I've never had any issues.
Oh.
bought stuff, sold stuff. I mean, I've sold 4 cars on eBay.
Yeah.
I've bought 2 cars on eBay, and I got 3 packages today from eBay sellers. I always buy eBay.
Really? Well, you know.
All right. So we have a couple people that don't like Amazon.
Well, I mean, I don't love Amazon. I mean, I've got my problems with them. I think the way they treat their employees sucks.
Yep.
You know, but they are a convenience. Okay.
They are a convenience, but it's slave labor, and I'm not going to support that. When you
Well,
have a contraption
I don't
connected to you, and if you don't go fast enough, you're fired on the spot.
Well, haven't they changed? Aren't they changing that? Because they've gotten a lot of heat
it's
for
only
that.
getting worse.
It's only getting worse?
Yeah, I mean, they literally have a quota for how many people they hire
Well,
to
then
fire.
let's just hope that rocket blows up next month.
Yeah, I could give a shit.
Yeah, you know, because Bezos is going up in his Blue
Amazon
Horizon.
is good at giving gifts to people. Amazon, I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, and then I get gifts in the mail that I have not ordered that they think I ought to have, and that way they give you get the right thumbs up. This last weekend, I got a bottle of antihistamine.
Really? Maybe they think you can.
Well, here's what they've done, how they've changed though. That bothers me. Used to be that if I ordered something and it didn't come, or it said it's been delivered and I couldn't find it anywhere on the property, I could call them up immediately and say, "Hey, I didn't get my package," and they go, "Okay, we'll send you another one out." Boom, that was it. Now it's, "Oh, well, wait 24 hours." Because sometimes they're marked as having been delivered. And then if you didn't get it in 24 hours, I don't want to wait 24 hours.
Right.
I want it now.
If they sold it to you through a second party, then you're fucked.
Then you're really fucked. Well, they will give you your money back, but they won't resend you the item. You have to go back online and reorder the item.
What was the last thing you got from Amazon, Alex?
Well, what I just got was some ice seltzer. That is a case of it that I should have gotten 2 weeks ago, and it didn't come, so I called them and told them it didn't come a day later, and they sent me a new one, and now this one got here today.
Okay. Oh, so you get an extra case.
Oh, yeah, I've had that happen on several occasions. You think I'm calling them and saying, "Hey, I got it. I'm going to send it back to you"?
No.
Yeah.
My mother would have done that. We got to return this. No, we don't.
So I bought a book, and I ordered it, and then after I ordered it, I looked at it, and the delivery said it was going to be like 3 weeks. But then on this other vendor, it said it was only going to be like 3 days. So I canceled the first order and placed the order with the second vendor. But you know, the
cost more.
No, Amazon said, no, you can't. You gotta get the refund fund through the, you know, the other
The supplier. Yeah.
Yeah, because they said, I didn't cancel it or something.
Yeah.
But I canceled it 20 times, but it never canceled.
Yeah, I mean, I've had problems with them, but I've had you know, what I love about it is I like to see what the cheapest thing is I can order that they have to send me. And I actually found something once that they had to send me that only cost me $1. It cost them more to ship the goddamn thing.
You know, you should do. You know, I'm on Amazon. I ordered rice. If you order rice rolls, it's only $1 a box. It costs them more to ship it.
What rice? What?
Rice-A-Roni, because they got every flavor on Amazon. I'm looking at it now because I couldn't get the 4 cheese today. But he's got. See, I know now, Kathleen. He has every flavor though, Bezos. I was looking for the 4 cheese. He's got every flavor. That's why you go to him. He's got everything.
And you married this guy, right, Kathleen?
I did.
This is why it's addictive, Alex. They got everything you want. I hate going to the store and you can't find the flavor you want.
Yeah.
You know, I've had friends ask me, "Have you ever considered selling on Amazon?" And I said, "No." I said, you know, they have attorneys that all they do is deal with people's accounts getting hijacked by other Amazon sellers. Amazon will dictate to you, you're going to sell it at this price. You're going to charge free shipping. I mean, eBay, I can do whatever I want. and I'm all about customer service, and they don't dictate anything to me.
Well, but eBay is a
Yeah, I wouldn't
different
try to sell
is
that
almost
either.
is a different kind of company.
You're your own boss.
I
like,
mean,
probably.
in the case of
Yes.
Amazon, it's really an aggregator of all these products and selling it like you were going through a supermarket. Where eBay is people individually selling stuff.
Yeah.
There's people who
Okay.
individually sell on Amazon.
Well, no,
as
that's
well.
a
Yeah,
secondary
yeah.
business at
Yeah, actually,
Amazon,
there
but
are,
it
yeah.
isn't the main one. Yes, Jack, you had your hand up.
Hey, I gotta go, but I have a buddy that I was talking to this afternoon. He's been an eBay seller for 13, 14 years. This morning, he told me, and I may have to quit doing this and get into his racket. He sells certain items on eBay. He specializes in them. And this morning, his sales from yesterday, $1,250.
Oh, he had a good day.
He averages, he says, about $75 a day. He's retired. He lives in a paid-for home, and I'm asking, why am I staying up this late?
Well, wait a minute. He
doing
made
this?
$1,200, but that wasn't pure profit.
That was
Probably
almost pure profit because of the items he sells.
What does he sell?
He discovered a market for
That rocks.
no, almost as good. He discovered, and thank you, I needed the time to think about what it was. He sells items that go into microscopes. And he buys used microscopes, takes them apart, and sells this part that is wanted by high schools and junior high schools for their microscopes that he sells them
Wow.
cheaper than they can get them anywhere else.
Okay. Hey, I know you got to go do your show, so I'm going to let you go. Okay.
Well, I expect to hear from you and give me a grade later because we may have a pop quiz next week, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Good night, Alex.
Okay. Good night, Jack. By the way, we should tonight ask Trucker Steve where he is located. In fact, everybody try and take a guess. How long you been out on the road this time, Trucker Steve?
Just for a couple of days now.
Couple of days. Okay. I'm thinking he's somewhere around, I don't know, Ohio? How about anybody else have a guess?
California.
Iowa,
Where?
California.
California? I don't think he's that far.
2 days. Wow.
I think Washington, up by Seattle.
Up around Seattle? Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
Where the hell are you?
where are you?
Indy, Nebraska.
Where?
Indy, Nebraska, on my way to Sparks.
On your way to Sparks. Okay, so you were in Indiana, you say?
No, Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Nebraska. So I was Ohio. I was kind of close, wasn't I?
So you're right on 80, I'll bet.
Yeah,
40.
80, and you're on your way to Sparks, Nevada.
it's,
Yeah.
Sydney is a couple hours east of Cheyenne, Wyoming.
And Sparks is right outside Reno, right? It's the next city over from Reno, right?
Well, Sparks is, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming when you're on the show, you turn the truck on cruise control,
No,
and it just gets you there.
no, he's required to take a certain amount of rest, right? And that's basically what he's doing this evening. He is.
Maybe Rocky. Does Rocky drive the truck sometimes?
No.
Is it hot there in Nebraska?
Huh?
Is it hot in Nebraska right now?
It was 46 Celsius, which is pretty fucking high.
46? 37 is 100 degrees.
Ah,
46 Celsius, so whatever that is in Fahrenheit, it's pretty fucking hot.
Yeah. Well,
and
Yeah. I
take
guess
it
so.
easy. Have a good rest of your tour, as it were, and thank you, Alan, and thank you to Charlie as well. Shmoody, always love to see your lovely and attractive face there. Yeah. And I don't care if you're married to Tony or not. I intend to steal you from her.
That'll be easy.
John Larkin, thank you, Mr. Schmoody,
cool.
and thank you, of course, Trucker Steve. All of you, why don't you give a big wave goodbye, And I will give a big wave goodbye back at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel. Let me just get rid of them here. Jack Bishop is next with the intersection. He'll be taking your calls on Skype, and that will be at Gabnet Live. That's the thing you kind of dial up on Skype. We'll see you again when? I guess tomorrow night, huh? Friday night, last night of the week. We'll be right here. A little bit of a shorter interview at the beginning of the show so these people can have all the time to themselves. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life, 10:30. And as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? And by the way, if you haven't done it, get vaccinated. If not, wear a mask. And if you haven't done any of those things, fuck you. We'll see you tomorrow.